Good afternoon, Mrs. Sexton.
Good afternoon, Miss Huddle.
How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Recovering from spring break?
Recovering.
Yes.
Those pictures of pizzas and donuts and popsicles look really good.
Is that something?
They're making me
goodness.
happy.
Yeah, maybe we could have eaten those on spring break.
Maybe.
So Mrs. Sexton and scholars, what we're going to be talking about is our new unit, and we are going to be talking about fractions.
Ooh.
Okay. Fractions can seem to be a scary word, but in reality, it's really fun because all we're doing is we're looking at pieces of things.
Okay.
And so the prefix of the word fract, F-R-A-C-T, means to break.
I didn't know that.
Like a fracture is a broken bone.
Oh.
Well, a fraction is a piece of something. Okay?
Okay.
And the fractions that we're going to be talking about in third grade are fractions that are less than 1.
Okay.
And so it finally gives us a voice to talk about this space in here.
Okay, the space in between 0 and 1.
That's right. And so in between there, we are looking at little pieces of things, okay? And so when we look at a fraction, the top part, and we think of like number 1, the top part of a fraction is a numerator.
Okay.
And the bottom part of a fraction is the denominator, and I always think down. Because the bottom part of a fraction is the denominator.
Okay.
And Mrs. Sexton, something that we'll notice as we study the fractions is as the denominators get larger, so as they get heavier and they start sinking down more, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'll notice that the pieces get smaller. Each and every time the bottom heavy part gets bigger, the pieces of pizza or donuts or things that we're eating get smaller.
That makes sense.
So here we have a whole pizza. So our whole is 1. If we cut that into 3 pieces, we have thirds. 3 thirds makes a whole pizza.
3/3 makes a whole pizza.
That's right. If we
Okay.
take a whole donut, it's 1 donut.
I think that's a cookie.
Oh, sorry. I thought it. Oh, there's a donut down there. If we cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, there are 4 pieces of cookie in a whole when we cut into fourths.
Miss Huddle, the chart over there says not 1/4 though. What's that word?
Oh my goodness. Well, Mrs. Sexton, it says a quarter.
Okay.
There are 4 quarters in a whole dollar.
Okay. Okay, so 1/4.
Yeah, there are 4 quarters in a dollar, in a whole dollar.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so oftentimes we refer to it as a quarter because people count quickly in quarters when they're adding money.
Got it.
So this is the whole popsicle, Mrs. Sexton and I could share because we break it in
2.
Yeah, in half. So
Okay.
another way to say break in 2 is to say 1/2.
Got it.
1/2, 1/4. This is a whole piece of corn. We break it into
3
3 parts is 1/3. We take a donut, which is whole. We cut it into half, and we call it Mrs. Sexton gets 1/2 of the donut. Miss Huddle gets 1/2 of the donut.
Nice.
If we both put it together, we get the whole donut.
Awesome.
This is a graham cracker, a whole graham cracker. And if we separate its parts, they're quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4, or fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Awesome.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about it,
Okay.
and I'm really excited to learn.
Me too.
Hey, Mrs. Sexton,
Hey, Miss Huddle.
I see a T, and it divides the paper into 4.
Ooh, what do we call that?
Fourths or quarters.
Fourths or quarters.
What's going on here?
Well, I was going to show our scholars 4 different ways to represent a fraction.
Oh, that's so neat. I didn't know there was more than 1.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ways. There's actually probably more than 4.
I bet.
But we are going to go ahead and focus on 4. So, do you have a favorite fraction?
I really like thirds. I think
Thirds?
3 is a good number.
Okay, so let's look at the fraction 2/3.
Okay.
When I write it like that, 2/3. But in our textbook, you're often going to see 2/3 written this way, 2/3. And it's just a different way of representing the same fraction. 2/3 is equal to 2/3.
That's right.
Now our pizza was split into thirds, so we can also represent 2/3 as pieces of a whole or parts of a whole. So I divide my whole into 3 parts, and to show 2/3, I'm gonna go ahead and shade in 2 of those parts.
Wow.
Now I don't have to do a circle, I could also draw a rectangle and divide it into 3 equal
That's
parts.
easier when you're working with a lot of pieces.
It is, for sure. We want to make sure that our holes that we divide into parts, that all the parts are equal or the same size.
Right,
about
as
the
best
same
we
size.
can. Yep.
So that's a common way that our scholars have probably seen fractions represented so far. But there are some other ways to represent fractions too. And one of the big ones that they're going to see in 3rd grade is they're going to want to see fractions on a number line.
Okay.
So when we draw a number line, we draw, our number line is always between 0 and 1, because like you showed us, all of our fractions are between 0 and 1.
For now.
For now. And if I have, if I'm dealing with a denominator of 3 or 2/3, I want to make sure to divide my number line into 3 pieces. Now that doesn't mean to put 3 marks between 0 and 1.
Why not?
Because if I put 3 marks, 1, 2, 3, and I look at how many pieces that is, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces.
And we'll be fourths, not thirds.
Yeah, it'll be fourths, not thirds, so I don't want to do that.
Interesting.
So when I do my number line between 0 and 1, and I want to divide it into 3 equal pieces, I'm going to only use 2 marks.
1/3,
and
2/3.
And I can check to make sure that I have 1, 2, see how I have 3 pieces?
That's good.
Each of those is a third. Now I want to represent 2/3 on my number line. So this right here is 1/3. This is 2/3. And this is a whole, which is also equal to 3/3.
So if we got to eat 3 out of the 3 pieces, we ate the whole.
That would be like eating the whole pizza.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I want to make sure that this number line shows 2/3, what I do is I put a dot right there on the number line at the place that says 2/3, and I know that that is how I show 2/3 on the number line.
Good to know.
Yeah. Now sometimes we might have a whole set of something, but it's not. They're not pieces. Like I might have a bag of M&Ms,
Okay.
and that might be my whole.
Right.
And I might have in my little bag of M&Ms, because I already ate a whole bunch, I might
Right.
have 2 red ones and 1 green one
Sure.
left. And so this whole is 3 pieces, because there's 3 M&Ms.
That's right.
And my 2/3 would be my 2 out of 3 of them
2 red
are
ones.
red. So that would be my 2/3.
So we have writing it with the numerator and denominator. We have representing it with either a circle or a rectangle, shaded.
Any shape, really.
Okay. We have the number line, and we have a pictorial, so drawing a picture.
Yeah.
Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, I would call it a picture, or this is a picture too, so I would say that this is showing it as part of a set instead of as part of a whole. So I'd call this part of a whole, and this is part of a set.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So shall we have our scholars represent a fraction, a different fraction in
Teacher
those
high
4 different
five.
ways?
Give a teacher high
Yeah.
five.
All right, what fraction should we give to our scholars?
Did you want to stick with thirds, or do you want to challenge them?
Let's challenge them a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe fifths?
I was thinking the same thing,
Okay.
actually. You're a mind
How
reader.
many fifths? So the denominator is going to be fifths.
Only 1.
Only 1. Okay. So scholars, we want you to show 1/5 in words
Words.
as part of a whole. On a number line. And as part of a set.
Now, Mrs. Sexton, this is 1/5 is not a whole.
Nope.
It's a part between 0 and 1.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. bring this in for a
teacher high five. Give a teacher high five. You can do it!